beautiful Aisha, she was so, that beautiful Aisha, she was also on the front line. And she didn't fry her hair. No. She liked having peppercorn, kinky, black people's hair. You went to school, you know how to read, yet you get sodium hydroxide. Put it in your hair. Hair is made of dead keratinized cells. Keratin is a form of protein. Black people's hair is linked together by what they call polypeptide links. To break that strong hair into weak dog's hair, like white people's hair, you use strong chemicals like sodium hydroxide. An industrial chemical used to take horns of animals. You are supposed to wear a mask for a month if you put it in your head. Even your husband is supposed to wear a mask, but I don't know how to kiss each other, but being inventive, ancient people, black people would make it out. Now what are you doing, black woman? Frying your hair. What are you doing, black woman? Outsourcing your hair from dead Indians. Say, here, you know how they get the hair? They go to Hindu temples when they have lice, and then they cut the hair. And when they cut the hair, they wash it. Number one goes to black people in America, brainwashed black people in America. Number two goes to brainwashed black people in Europe. And number three goes where? To the Rotary Club of Bukoto. Imagine black people, how humiliating it is. Some, like your husband, saying, oh, you are so beautiful. But that is injurious falsehood, because even the hair on your head is not yours. Yes? You know, my favorite, executive was a woman called Maggie Chigosi. So she used to sit there with woolen clothes, God knows, from Arabia, and everything foreign. And she said, buy Ugandan. I look at her and say, what a joke. She would buy Ugandan. Yeah? But let me tell you this. Most of our women use lip gloss. Yeah? Lip gloss. Goes directly into your bloodstream. Complete carcinogenic. Most of our men and women use deodorant. Toxic. 100% toxic. Again, goes directly to your bloodstream. White people use their lips. They put this on their lip because they have short lips. Their lips are not full. They are short. You have to understand, the politics of your body, the science of your body. You are black because you have melanin. Melanin is a black skin pigmentation produced by an enzyme called melatonin. For melatonin to produce melanin, it needs a catalyst enzyme we call tyrosinase 7. If you have no tyrosinase 7, you can't have black skin. You can pray and whatever, but God will give you cancer. This production of melanin takes place during the day and at night at 3 a.m., 3 a.m., 4 a.m. If you are awake at that time, you enhance even the production of melanin. Now, melanin is responsible for a lot of things. Wait! Melanin is responsible for how you walk, how you talk, how you welcome people. Melanin controls the ultraviolet rays of the sun, synergizes the certain rays kept out, some are taken in, including the energy from the earth. If you are standing here with a non-melanated person and lightning struck, it would pick that person, throw him there, you'd remain standing tall and proud, breast of the sun, because of melanin. It acts like an earthing, but melanin also controls fatigue. Melanin also controls sleeping cycle. This black skin pigmentation. Melanin controls healing. That's why when you are healing, when you have a wound, before it heals, it starts turning black, and it gets darker because now melanin is produced around that to say, let's sort this out. Melanin also gives you dominant genes, which means if you had a child with a white person at birth, that child would have more black genes and less white genes. As the child grows up, the white genes are recessed because white genes are recessive, and the black genes assert themselves because they are dominant. This is the basis of genetics. from Gregory Mendel, 1812, who was trying to look at inherited characteristics to see whether you can get 2 white chicken to produce a black chicken. But you can't. No 2 white chicken can produce a black chicken. No 2 white cows can produce a black cow. No 2 white goats can produce a black goat. But a black goat can produce a brown goat, pink goat, yellow goat, every color of goat. Because on earth there is nothing more important than melanin. And you know what? There's nothing more beautiful than a black woman. Nothing.
That's true.
Nothing. Let me tell you something. Me, I studied black people and I studied white people. I can tell you that every white person wants to be black. And particularly every white woman wants to be a black woman. That's why they put cosmetics to add color to pale skin. So when they are doing this, you also, because black women imitate white people, they also do the same. They inject their lips with serotonin.
That's true.
And melatonin in their lips so that they can have full lips because their lips are not full. You are created so beautiful talking and kissing. There is nothing. Black women have what we call steatopedia, the unusual accumulation of fat on the black woman's body.
Hey, talk about it.
Tall and voluptuous. To be with a black woman. I had a professor called Professor Joseph Ben Buchanan, and he used to say that heaven is between a black woman's thighs, and it is true. Other people, you know, white people have an ironing board backside. You know? It's like this. You have to laugh. Yes, it's a joke.
Yes.
Can you imagine? If sometimes, if you go to black people and say you are ugly, black people say, we have always thought about that ourselves. But when you go to black people and say you are beautiful, you are the most beautiful people, I'm telling you. Now white women are injecting their behind with melanin and serotonin, to have voluptuous behind. Because they are tired of the ironing board backside. That's why you see these rich white men, when they get to Entebbe, they go crazy.
Yeah, that's true.
They meet all these beautiful Basoga and Langi. And then you meet sometimes a white man holding a bag full of this young woman. She's looking for heaven. He's looking for heaven. So there's nothing more beautiful. But then imagine how grotesque it must be to see a black person with a beautiful melanated skin bleaching. With jik. And in Uganda, especially among Muslims, women bleach their skin.
Yeah.
Because you know why? Because the Quran says you, a black person, will never go to heaven. I'm telling you. It is called Surah Al-Imran. Surah 3, verse 106 and 107. It says on the day of judgment, those who will lose judgment, their faces will be black and they'll go directly to hell. And those who will pass judgment, their faces will be white and they'll go to heaven. Surah Al-Imran 3, 106 and 107. And in Islam, they say that God really chose the white Quraysh as his chosen people. So most of our people, of our women, even our men, we have JJ Odom. What did you look like? Bleach. I'm Kiurankuba. I have no fear in my heart. JJ Odom, in general, who wants to look like an Arab? Now, if we are fighting Arabs, what side will he be? Kanda Congo man, bleach in Congo. People bleach because when they see the image of God they don't see themselves.
That's true.
And black people, unless we work on our self-image, knowing what it is that we have done, knowing what we created, where we come from, we can never have self-concept. And with no self-concept, you have no self-esteem. And with no self-esteem, you have an inferiority complex. That is why all our major road contracts, where do they go? Chinese. Short people. Very short. We have short people. If roads are constructed by short people, let's bring Bakonjo. They'll do the same thing. What are we lacking? But when they give a Chinese a contract, they don't even demand that they teach 50% of you, teach them how to do this road. By the time you finish, we must have African people taking charge of this road. How do you feel when you are driving and your son has just graduated, and you know when they graduate now you hold parties? Parties for what? He hasn't even got a job. He has just bankrupted you in school. You know, with all this ideology of the hawks of education, you know, we believe that, you know, this idea of if you get a degree, you get a job, you get a good life, forget it. Basaja Waraba, where did he get his degree? Doesn't he give PhDs now? Yeah, Basaja Waraba gives PhDs. He owns a university. He will control your PhD. You can say, don't give him. Yeah, because he owns. Instead, look at the education that we have that teaches a child to sit for 24 years. Eat, sit, and sleep 24 years. Every day. Now parents drive the children to school. And the child is seated at the back. And the father is driving. The father has to run to pick the child. What kind of children is this? You have become a slave now to the child. Instead of the child coming and finding you, the father home, seated, the child, you are now running to pick the child. And your wife pick the child. Then the child comes seated, eats, goes to sleep. Wakes in the morning, you repeat the same routine. And after 25 years of sitting, you want him to sit and perform. How? All he did was eat, sleep,
TV.
And TV, you know, and play. That is the education system. What kind of education system is it? That produces an electric engineer who sleeps in darkness, yet he studied light. You find him with the same cathode at home. What kind of education? Because we have no self-concept. Because we have not stood there and said, no, enough. And that is why I'm saying to you black people, that I want you to free your mind. I want you to have that anger that says, if you are a man or a woman, there are certain things you have to do for yourself. And those certain things is you have to produce clothes that you wear. Just like you have to build a house. You can't marry a wife and every time he wants a mattress and say, let's go and borrow from the neighbor. Every time you get guests, he says, let's go and borrow from the neighbor. What will your husband think or what will your wife think? There are certain things we have to do. We have to make our own roads. We have to demand. Our grandfathers built this railway line. Our grandfathers. There were a few, white supervisors. Now, we are going to spend God knows how many billions of dollars. And can I end, Mr. President? I know I'm taking time and maybe you don't want to stop me. But let me end by explaining 3 things. Very quickly, I'll take about 3 minutes. To my knowledge, nobody has fully mastered economics unless you know these 3 things. 3 things. The first is what we call fractional reserve banking. Fractional reserve banking and fractional reserve lending. Fractional reserve banking allows a bank to make money out of thin air. Which means, if we had 4 banks, like this is one bank, another bank, another bank, another bank. If I go with 10 million shillings and bank it in this bank, let's assume that this bank started with no money at all. They have just opened up and they have no money. But they had a reception, they have accountants, and they have tailors. If I take my money and deposit it in this bank, by law, this bank will keep 1 million and lend out 9 million. When it lends 9 million, it charges interest. And it takes collateral. So it started with nothing. It now has your house. It has 1 million deposit. And it has a portfolio of about 12 million. When I take the 9 million, I deposit it in another bank, which also lends keeps 10% and lends the rest and keeps the house. And then the 8 million that you get, you take it in another bank. This process is repeated almost 90 times. So at the end of the day, a bank which had nothing ends up getting everything. If that bank is a foreign bank, then it means all your assets are lost. If the Ugandan bank does it and takes your house, the house still remains part of the national register. But if it is a foreign bank, you are out of luck. The whole thing goes to what they call in Christianity, hair in the basket. That is fractional reserve banking. Now there is something else associated with that called phantom deposit. When you go to borrow money from a bank, and after you have taken the bank to your hotel and have they asked you for accounts and referees and personal guarantees, then the bank manager comes and says, you have the money now, check on your account. And you find you have 500 million. The bank has not gone out to sell cows and get that money and bring it. No, the bank has done a phantom deposit. They have just done a credit entry on a computer or in a ledger to say you have 500 million. They assume that all the people that banked the money will not come at the same time. Because if they all queued up and say, we want our money now, the bank, that's what they call a run on the bank. The bank will close the doors and run away. That is what happened to Greenland, I suppose, and some other banks. And Northern Rock in England, that's what happened to Northern Rock. It did a run because of what? Of phantom deposits. And the third thing I want you to know, the last thing, is what they call a fiat currency. Fiat currency. Fiat currency is a currency not backed by gold. It is a currency like the American dollar or the British pound. It is only backed by what? It is backed by the authority of the state. A dollar is a piece of paper with graphics on it and a couple of pictures and a signature. In fact, in the $1 bill, there are African pyramids. A pyramid and an eagle holding arrows and olives. That's another thing. But this dollar is a piece of paper. It is not backed by gold. In 1944, at the Bretton Woods Agreement, the dollar was supposed to become a reserve currency, and you could redeem $35 with 1 ounce of gold. An ounce of gold is 31.4 grams of gold. But when America went into Vietnam and into all these wars, most of the countries withdrew their gold from America, redeemed their gold. And at the time, America owed the world 35 billion, and then it had only reserves of $18 billion. That is when President Nixon in 1971 decided that he will introduce a fiat currency. He will say, we shall no longer redeem gold. So now imagine, if you will, somebody sitting in his house, printing a piece of paper, and then bringing it to Uganda to buy a hotel like this. Can you see that? Yet that is what happens. It is a folly, it is an act of treachery to get our currency and back it against the dollar. And when the dollar runs out, to sell even the reserve that we have so that we can maintain at the parity. What we need to do is get gold, because Uganda has gold. I can tell you, every year, the gold that hemorrhages out of Uganda is equivalent to 8 billion US dollars. 8 billion. We can get a currency completely made of gold. A gold coin of 1 gram, which would mean immediately our 1 Uganda shilling of gold would be equivalent to about 56 or something dollars. And if that happened, we don't have to worry about hard currency, because anywhere you go, they will accept gold. Gold doesn't depreciate. Gold always goes up. And even if you burn a house that has gold in it, the more fire you give gold, the more pure it becomes. Rotarians of Bukoto, free your mind. And I have my books there, and I'll take some questions if the president wants.
Some time ago, I used to listen to your radio station.
Yes.
But these days, it's not there, is it?
These days I have a TV. In broadcasting, They said don't, in television, they said don't tell me, show me. I can tell you something, but you'll have doubt. But on television, I'll show you. So I have a TV. It is TV Africa Channel 45. It is free to air. So you don't even have to pay. Okay. That is how much I love you. I knew you were listening to me. And I didn't want you to just listen. I wanted you to see. So I set up a TV station. Yes, sister.
Thank you. Okay, Huramkuba, it's an honor to meet you finally. I love your wide knowledge and all that. I only would want to know your position on something like coexistence. I mean, we now that we are here, the whites are here, the blacks are here, and there is nothing you can do about it. What is your way forward to us and to the people, and especially to the young children who must coexist anyway, in terms of learning to be respectful to each other's culture, to expect respect from these other people, and to be respected and to respect them? So because you have a voice and you air it out very boldly, I think you would have a big influence on in terms of learning to respect other cultures and learning to expect to be respected. And especially now that I don't know if there is anything you suggest we can do about the globalization and the international trade and everything that seems to either must exist or to one country or one culture to just simply be in one box, while the whole other world, from Asia to America to everywhere, grows and one other culture stays in one place, giving birth near a banana tree like my mother did, and a number of women dying during childbirth. And I also would want to know about your view, for example, of what Nelson Mandela did. There was a lot of suffering before, and then he came into power and said, peace and unity, and everyone come and respect each other and be here. I want to hear your voice on that.
I just want to get your views on two bills.
Yes.
The gay bill,
yes,
and the domestic relations bill.
Yes.
I just want to hear it.
The last one.
Thank you, Professor.
Yes.
Well, you have given us the historical aspect of the background of mankind, but me, I feel I would like you to give us our take, because when we read,
yes,
some of the people say civilization started from Greece,
yes,
and they quote people like Socrates, Aristotle,
yes,
Plato.
yes.
So how do you comment about that? Because your view
Yes.
might be taken by us,
Yes.
which is a good view,
Yes.
but you find like in the academics,
Yes.
another person may bring a convincing view,
Yes.
and relate the age as well, and it may make us again believe that maybe the real history of development started from Greece.
Thank you. That is why I have done this book. I've given you a timeline. Number one, I want to tell you that I make my living by teaching. I can't afford to be ridiculous. Every statement that I make, I have a library of 32,000 books, and I've read each one of them. Not only do I read, I remember, because I don't see any point in reading a book if you are not going to remember. So if I make a statement, I stand by it. I used to teach at the University of Leeds and the University of Lancaster. I was the head of a black organization, 50,000 strong. If you know Kano Tafire, he came to my organization in 1995. I used to organize conferences all around the world. This gentleman, I think, invited me because he saw me on American television live. So it's not that I put you in a room and I teach you something that I can't say anywhere. No. If you come to my TV station, you will see my lectures in Manchester, in Leeds, in City College of New York, in Harvard. You will see what I teach. And when I'm there, because you know, remember, here I would not even speak like I speak there. Because I know how you are thinking. And I know that most black people are scared, are afraid. If I'm talking to white people, I will not say a white person. I'll say the pigmented, the melanized, the albino mutant. Because I can prove it. You understand? I say hook nose, the bacon eating, locks wearing, Johnny Camlettre just crawled out of Europe. Because I want you to stand up and say, accuse me of being racist or of being false. Then I'll say to you, a person who plays a piano is a pianist. A person who practices art is an artist. And a person who fights for his race, white people call him a racist. When a black person is confident, speaks like I speak, they say he's radical. When he's a white person, they say he's confident. So I know the double standard and I don't care. You understand, sister? But in here I have a timeline. I have told you the oldest semblance of European literary intelligence is a script written by a fictitious character called Homer, writing 580 BC. And inside that book, Homer talks about the tale of the sun and the Ethiopians of Thebes. If you read the father of history in Europe, he's called a man called Herodotus of Sebiontus. He talks about Ethiopians. You know what he calls them? He says the tallest, the wisest, the most just of all men. When he's writing about African people in the art of medicine, he says, and I quote, of the practice in medicine, you know, they have innumerable doctors you can't count. He says some specializing in the disease of the nose, of the eyes, and some diseases that cannot be localized. That is the father of history from Europe. Europe doesn't come until 580 BC, the oldest semblance. But in Africa, by 3,200, we have built a pyramid, 48 stories high, till 1937, the tallest building in the world. Built with 2,300,000 blocks, each block weighing 3 tons. The stone at the apex and the base weigh up to 700 tons. It is still standing up to today. When you go to Israel and you are looking for the temple of David, there won't be any. They will say it is here. Where is it? It was destroyed by Sennacherib. Me, I'll take you to Komombo. I'll take you to Laxo, and I put you in the temple of Laxo. It took 16,000 years to build. It is still standing. The columns, you know, in the hypostyle hall is 142 meters. Still there. So we can talk. We say, okay, show us what you did and when. So you need a timeline, and it is essential. It's important. And my beautiful sister, your sister, come off the phone because I'm about to answer your question. And let me begin by what you said about Mandela. You know, white people, they want us to love Mandela. Mandela, the peacemaker. Mandela, the great. Mandela, the beautiful. Mandela, the forgiver. Mandela. Now let me tell you what we call him in Pan-Africanism. We call him the greatest traitor to our race. Mandela betrayed black people. He signed an agreement with the Bragabond in jail before he was put out. He was on a program called MK Ultra that altered somebody's mind in a military hospital. And whatever I'm telling you, I can even show you on video. And the agreement said what? He will let white people get off, including Walter Basson, who used to run Battalion 77, that would make cholera, anthrax, polio, everything, and put it in Coca-Cola, and put it in sodas, and inject it in black women, including one white person who killed 146 activists. So he would let them get off. He would divorce his wife, Winnie Mandela. Because, you know, Winnie Mandela is the shell of that revolution. Without Winnie Mandela, Mandela would have died in jail. When Mandela was sentenced, Winnie Mandela was interviewed by the BBC. And you know what she says? She says, we shall never give up. Namzamo, Winnie, Matkazela. You know, she was a stick fighter. She was a martial art expert. She told white people, it doesn't matter whether you put this man in jail, we will fight you. And she mobilized all these other people because the ANC was finished. It was in exile, it was hiding, it was gone. But Namzamo stands up. raises this man's name, raises it in every capital, mobilizes people at the grassroots. And what does Mandela do? When he comes out, chases her because he says she was dishonest. Can you imagine after 25 years? A woman who gets you out of jail, and you as a black woman, is that what you want to be, your fate, sister? Would you want a man that you have fought for and rescued him from the jaws of death to kick you and look for that gold digger from Samora Machel, and marry her? So we have no peace with Mandela. It would have been good for Mandela to give white people in South Africa a bit of time. When George Washington won in America, he gave the British a bit of time. 3 weeks. We would have given them 12 hours to get out of South Africa. Look at South Africa now. White people control everything in South Africa.
That's true.
Everything. You got Kalicha in Cape Town. Only black people you find in Cape Town are the Khoisan who are drunkards on the street, the Congolese marshals who guard the cars, and the black people are in where? In Kalicha, in a slum bigger than Kampala. They live in houses made out of buvera, plastic, and it has sand. Their eyes have sand and everything, and yet it has gold, it has tantalite, it has diamond, and black people don't even know where the diamond goes because it is owned by De Beers, it is owned by Oppenheimer, it is owned by Anglo, it is owned by Ashanti gold mine, and you are telling me that what, sister? That I live peacefully? Peacefully, that's what you want me to do. You want somebody like we have done. You are an MP, brother, aren't you? This brother is an MP. You want, like this brother has done, where they get our oil in this country, and they gave it to an Irishman. And before I even put oil in my lamp, he has made 3 billion. 3 billion, and he doesn't even want to pay tax. Didn't we have to go for arbitration, even for them to give us tax? Now you want to live? You know why they are fighting Putin? Putin in Europe?
Yeah.
White people can't live even properly with each other. And you want them to live with you. They are failing to live. The 1% in America. Look at black people. There are black people in America. You know that? When the American Constitution was written, it classifies black people as 3/5 of a man. 3/5. Article 1, Section 2 and 3. You can get that article. You are 3/5 of a man up to today. Black people are 13% of the people in America. They constitute 86% of the people in jail. And 1 in every 3 black men go through the criminal justice system before the age of 21. If you can't treat my brother well there, why are you coming here to imagine that you are my friend? First treat my brother. Get him out of jail. Treat him well. We have done everything for these people. Everything. Every time they had a war, we were the first in uniform. My great-grandfather fought in the first European war. What did he get? A medal. A chepe. They call it a chepe. Yeah? My uncles died in his war. You have colonized us. Do they pay reparation? No. So, yes, sister, I teach black people to be respectful, to respect each other, to love themselves. But if anybody puts their hand on you, you send them to the cemetery. And my reach is bigger than you imagine. In Europe, I would go to jail, teach black people in jail, reform them, and form them into a formidable economic unit. That's what we do. Me, I have no love for anybody. Jesus says, love your neighbor as you love yourself. But it presupposes that you have love first for yourself. Because if you have no love, how can you love a neighbor? If you have nothing to give. So our problem right now is loving us. We have black people fighting to restore the 10 commandments, killing everybody in their wake. We have black people, who hate themselves so much they are bleaching. They don't want to eat food that we produce. So we let us first love ourselves. And when we have loved ourselves, then I will be able to preach that let us love everybody else. But for now, the love is for us. Now, the brother wanted me to comment about homosexuality, the homosexual bill, and the marriage, they call it domestic.
Marriage and divorce.
Marriage and what?
Divorce bill.
Marriage and divorce bill. And also, I think there is also there is also a GMO bill. Number one, I want you to know that homosexuality comes from Europe, from the hatred of women. Europeans hated the women so much they didn't want to sleep with them. at all. Greek gods who lived in Mount Olympus were homosexuals. And they dictated that for every male, the best sex is not between a man and a man, was between a man and a young boy. The Hebrew Talmud, the Jewish law, it says the best sex is between a man and a child below the age of 3. Yes, in the Hebrew Talmud. So, for that is, we don't call it homosexuality honorable. We call it white sex. That is their thing. And when it gets into your society, it will be end of the road. Will be finished. Because you can go anywhere in Africa, everything doesn't work. Water doesn't work, electricity doesn't work, but the family works.
That's true.
The grandfather is the head of the Supreme Court. When he speaks, it is case closed. You have your own sewage system. You have your own food and agricultural distribution system. You have your own Minister of Foreign Affairs. When you go in a home, there is a bed for a guest. There are plates for a guest. You don't know when he's coming. We are people who welcome strangers, sister. We welcome strangers, but most of the time now, we welcome the wrong type of stranger. Why should we get a contract for IDs and give it to a white person? Can't you make an ID? Is an ID so important that we don't even know how to print a piece of paper here? Don't we have printing, whatever? So let us first love ourselves. But homosexuality, no, it is not ours. It is not in any of our script. In fact, in the 42 declarations of innocence in ancient Egypt, one of the declarations that you required before you enter heaven, you said, I have not engaged in homosexual acts. Now, the marriage and divorce bill. Marriage and divorce bill, and I say this very quickly. Let me tell you this. As part of Europeans divide and conquer, they are now setting us up, man and woman. Most of our women look at men as enemies. I'm not saying it's not true. You sisters look at men as enemies. Oh yeah. You might not, sister, because you have natural hair. You know, and hair is a spiritual antenna. It collects all the forms of good spirits and bring them to you. But I'm telling you, most of the people who read European scripts, European books, they are all against our relationship. Yet there was nobody who loved black women like black people. In Europe, a woman compensates her own inferiority by paying bride wealth to a man. I hope you know that. In Europe, a woman pays bride wealth to a man. In India, excess female babies are killed. Excess female. In fact, an Indian man, when he died under Hindu law, a woman is supposed to be buried with a man. But in Africa, I go to the Batoro and I kneel down. I say, I've come as a supplicant in this home to take your pain and make it mine, to be a servant if I will. If only you give me the hand of this woman in marriage. I have to prove myself that I am worthy and I can give even wealth away because your family even sends inspectors. Am I lying? To first inspect where the woman is going to sleep. Am I lying, sir? They send inspectors. Where is she going to sleep? Where is the food? Where is the bed? Unless, of course, you have Kampala marriage. You know, Kampala marriage around the street, underneath Uganda Museum. You know, you find people getting married on Uganda Museum, in Nakawa, like you have no home. Yeah? And your grandmother is also holding a plate. And by the time she gets to the queue, the food is finished. So they give her a chapati, and she doesn't know what it is. Yeah? So that is different. But we loved women, and our families was the guarantor of our security. A woman knows that even if I quarrel with my husband, my grandfather, my father-in-law, my mother-in-law will come and settle this relationship. What I know about the domestic relations bill, once is mainly about property. Property, money, wealth. And they are saying, what about this wife? And what about that wife? Whatever it is, as long as the African family is divided, there will be a lot of people happy. Once we have divorce, that is fantastic. In Africa, you married forever. You married forever. Among the Maasai, they even allow the woman to take a boyfriend on her marriage day. And when you are away, the boyfriend comes and sleeps with the woman and leaves the spear outside. When your husband comes, sees the spear, knows you are busy, and goes and sleeps somewhere else. But marriage in Africa was forever. There was no divorce. I would not, because once you know what you conceive, you achieve. Once you conceive divorce, then you work towards it. Even if you are not thinking, but it introduces that possibility. That is how the psyche, the mind works. What African people conceive, they achieve. So I hope, my brother, that we have a harmonic relationship, a consensus relationship in our marriages, and we don't encourage divorce. Thank you.
Thank you, President. Thank you, Professor. We are grateful for your information. In fact, if a professor takes off his time, it shouldn't be underestimated. We have gained a lot, and especially your diverse awareness creation regarding the history of mankind, relationship of mankind. Then you also went on the other side about banking, systems of banks. We are grateful, and I feel that people who are here, on their behalf, I would like to say thank you. They have gone when they are changing the people. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. How do we get you? Do you have a business card?
May I have one?
What ones are for the mobile?
We're so blessed to have you.
So can I have a picture? So S-E-V-L-E.
Yes.
E-V-L-E. L-E, yeah.